industry. What else? Google Docs again, collaboration. So collaboration by default is viral. But anybody who's building collaboration product here, minus collaboration, minus project management, so that's 2 out of 200. So that's an outlier. Assuming we have to help the other 198 companies here.
MailChimp kind of.
MailChimp, what part?
So the newsletter will say powered by MailChimp.
Okay, so you can also disable that. But MailChimp has another very, very beautiful angle to it. How many of you know MailChimp here? Perfect. How many of you have read the MailChimp? So MailChimp releases once a year, MailChimp.com/2015/2016, the annual data on all the emails sent, which countries, what kind of recipients, what kind of domain, annual bounce rates. And you use that to benchmark your own emails. You said, hey, you know what? If the open rate of average MailChimp user was 8.2%, why are we at 5%? Otherwise, what do you tell your marketer? If your marketer is getting happy about 6%, you can tell him this is the global number. That becomes a benchmark. Now, the moment that becomes a benchmark, you sort of look up to MailChimp to do that. Even if you are not a customer, even if somebody has not referred to you, that brand is in your mind. The product's data is in your mind. And the way they converted that data is into a research report, which converted to a benchmark that everybody sort of looks up to, right? There's another company I can pick up in, let's say, development space. There's a company called Roncore, R-E-N-C-O-R-E. So SharePoint as a market, SharePoint, anybody here? Okay, so it's a Microsoft product, the fastest product in Microsoft to grow to $1 billion. And it has an active developer base, about 100,000 of them. But it's never been that sexy developer space, so to speak. But a whole lot of enterprises are run on SharePoint. That means a whole lot of development is being done. Nobody had tracked the developer market space in SharePoint. There was this company called Roncore, which sold products for SharePoint developers to help them make their code more efficient. And because nobody had tracked this space, they created this report called State of the Art Development in SharePoint for developers. Based on all the data that they had, how do you fix your code, what are the typical causes, and that became the de facto standard based on the usage of their product, data from the product. And that is now being used as a benchmark by any other SharePoint development company saying, hey, why aren't we using that product? Because it helps us become better at our SharePoint. Okay, more examples?
So we do the same thing for mobile, right? So we have something called Maker's Peak Annual Report. We're the only guys tracking mobile development prices across all geographies. And we publish that. So when a dev shop wants to benchmark their price against the market for comparable skill sets, they use our data.
Perfect.
Because of that, like, we grew 300%, our vendor base grew 300% the last 1 year.
Okay, so for those who could not hear, Ashwin runs Contract IQ and he's benchmarking prices of mobile development based on his product's data. Anybody can come and compare the prices. If you find somebody cheaper on his platform, I think that helps you get a guy, right? Similarly, let's say, for example, if you think of, let's say, college guy. If he thinks about, hey, what, and this is a very common question. Somebody who's in college, he thinks about what technology should I learn to get a better job. Now, what technology is not an isolated question. PHP might be popular in Calcutta, but Bangalore is a Python shop. Again, Python or all the advanced ones. Similarly, PHP, what frameworks? If he has to ask that question, and if he has to understand that, today what does he do? Go and post on Stack Overflow and Quora? But what are the platforms which already have this data, which can sort of simulate these kind of questions and help them get this answer? Indeed, not for India. Think of Interview Street, HackerRank, how do you take that data to create this viral loop? The more people ask that question to the product, the more the product understands about the person, and the more it helps the person, which creates this entire viral loop. So where I'm leading with this is, most of us think that marketing is a separate silo from the product. But some of you have attended this session this morning, which I did. Marketing is before the product and continues after the product. Product is one, so marketing, product management, and product are deeply tied. Product is one manifestation of the problem you're trying to solve, which was discovered and sort of spread through marketing at various levels. And the more you think about it, why should your product be in isolation from marketing? Why can't product have an element of marketing in itself, which A, validates the actionable outcome of the product, which is the value to your customer. The more value you give to your customer, the better your product becomes, and the more value you give to the customer, the more happy he is, and he recommends to somebody else, gets him back into this loop, the same funnel. With me? Okay, should I repeat? Anybody? Okay, so this is our theme of this session. How do you convert your product to help you market more? How do you convert your product to build that actionable outcome, which can be quantitatively measured and reapplied to the next user. But the onus of getting that next user, that next customer, is not your marketing team's onus. It's your product's onus, which becomes, in an abstract way, your company's onus. All of us are product companies first. So instead of looking at product and marketing separately, for a moment, like humor me for the next 45 minutes, think of marketing as a sub-function as a product. Obviously, you will have a separate marketing arm as well. And what part of that product can be converted to a marketing machine, which will help you get that exponential growth through the product itself. So we have 3 stellar entrepreneurs who have done this before. So we have PK from WebEngage, we have Nimesh from Appointee, and we have Ankit from AdPushUp. So WebEngage, I'm sure, you know, Ablesh is shy to come on stage again. So PK is going to demonstrate on that. You guys have what, 32,000 customers, Ablesh? How much of that was acquired through this model where 40% of 32,000 customers were acquired through existing customers? Nimesh has about 180,000 customers. Nimesh, how many of these were acquired through customer referrals itself or through the product? 100%. What? How did you get your first customer then?
We kept it free for 3 years.
Okay.
So we had 19,000 businesses using our product.
First. Okay, we're not talking about churn today. At least I'm not talking about that. And Ankit, so Ankit has about 500 million ad impressions a month, right? Roughly what % of that ad impressions come through referrals or the product marketing machine?
Customers which brought this impressions would be approximately little less than 10%. This is not system-wide line yet. This is something which we are internally, which I'll talk about why.
The product as a marketing machine. Perfect. So let's get PK on stage, and he's going to talk about the journey that he has went through from converting a product from a just product to a marketing machine. And so the way we are going to do it, he's going to showcase some of the things he has done, a couple of slides, some metrics. At any point, if you have any questions, by all means, please feel free to ask him.
Yeah. Done. Thanks, Pallav. Hello, everyone. Myself, PK from WebEngage. For those who don't know what WebEngage is, WebEngage happens to be if I just do the sales pitch, it is mostly what we pitch is as a multi-channel customer engagement suite. Now what multi-channel customer engagement suite is, I'm sure everyone would be thinking it as any kind of marketing automation tool, but we are not that. What we help generally any kind of online business is how do you figure out who your customers are and what they're thinking. So anything which has to do with what Google Analytics doesn't help you with is something which we help any online business. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
While PK tries to figure it out, just quick context. It's pretty much in line with what Pallav was trying to say. The customer acquisition funnels for us are kind of widely diverse. We are, as much as PK tried to tell you guys, we are not a marketing automation suite, although we are. We try and automate the engagement across multiple channels, multiple devices, and help you basically reach out to your customers at the right time through multiple mediums. And one of the biggest sources of our customer acquisition is what PK is going to touch upon right now, which is this built-in virality into the product distribution itself. And we did it very accidentally to begin with. There was no plan per se to do it. But as it turned out, as I said, even at the scale that we are right now, it turns out to be the biggest source of acquisition, free acquisition. And we do a lot of content marketing. We do PPC and display and some of the other sources. But this is something that we wanted to highlight as a part of the session, wherein we could actually show you the network effect. So one of the slides when we go over, PK will show you how actually we ended up selling to customers, certain customers, handpicked ones, for actually cheap, so that they could retain our branding in the product. And we did it on purpose, so that we could build a network effect in that category or in that geography and earn more over a period of time. So we have some visualizations that you may like, but over to PK.
Thanks, Avlesh. Again, coming back to what WebEngage does, Avlesh, thanks for that. Now, moving on to what we did in terms of figuring out where we can use cues from our product and make it some kind of a growth strategy, was using a very small thing which is embedded into our product, which is called, okay, I'll take you through that particular part first. which is called a logo or powered by. Now, when you talk about powered by, this is very similar to what you guys would be seeing in any other product, which is, even if you think of MailChimp, does that same. So how we did it is that our product was basically being used, or all of the websites which our customers are using our product on, and our product has a light box on which this particular logo appears. Now, any particular user or any particular customer, whether that particular person is say in a particular geography or industry agnostic to it, happens to have this particular logo onto their website, onto places where they are using our product. Now, WebEngage actually helps most of the e-commerce businesses do a lot of say product promotion to customer insight surveys. So if you go to guys like Flipkart, Jabong, and all other guys, you would find all these pop-ups appearing, and which will have some kind of a message asking you to either share your details, or giving out some kind of an info regarding some kind of a promotion which you might be entitled to based upon your user profile or your user activity. For example, if you are on, say, apparel section, you would be, and you have, say, visited 3 pages of apparel section in that website, and you have spent more than, say, 2 minutes, there is very apparent that the marketing manager can make some kind of an understanding that you are more interested in that section, and to make you convert then and there, obviously the guy can push some kind of a very online real-time promotion, and that is something which most of the businesses use, at least in the e-commerce section, to convert more of their anonymous users and convert on the fly. Now, what we generally use this particular powered by logo is to figure out which particular geography and which particular industry we do not exist, and in those markets we basically strategically figure out who are those guys whom we can cherry pick and strategize around our pricing, so that we can use those individual nuggets to get more of our customers. So if I go back, so for example, this node 1 is nothing but, say, a guy who came to us from a random geography which we are not known in, say, Netherlands. Now, that particular geography, we do not have any presence. Now, any particular business which is there in the market, that particular market won't be knowing anything about WebEngage, and we won't anyway be able to reach out to these guys. So now, these guys become our ambassadors in terms of displaying what we can do for a similar business or a particular geography if that particular industry is interested in. Now, for example, if some kind of an e-commerce guy is using us in, say, a region called Netherlands, if some other guy, say a product manager in some other e-commerce guy, notices us, he basically figures out that this is one way of maybe using the same solution which he is trying to figure out. Now, this network of it is nothing but if one of these nodes basically brings us, say, child nodes, we tend to figure out that which are those nodes in that whole journey, which are those key elements which we should target, and then create some kind of a segment around those particular nuggets. So what we did was we figured out that, okay, there were few areas and few industries which were using these particular powered by logos to drive lot of referral traffic for us, and those traffics were actually converting for us. So now we were getting lot of customers from those customers who were actually using us in those geographies and those industries whom we were not even aware about that the market exists for us. The channels which these guys were using us for, obviously on the website, we also happen to have something on the mobile platform or the mobile website, as well as the in-app, as well as on the email footer. If you look into what the strategy we implemented, if you go to any particular say B2B business, obviously you have different elements of a pricing plan. Now, what we did was we made the concept of white labeling, that is the ability to remove the powered by logo, pretty expensive. Now, we obviously would not encourage people to remove that particular logo, because that is something which is a good source of referral for us. So what we did, we obviously moved that particular white label into the highest possible plan, and obviously we discourage that. Now, if someone actually has the requirement of white labeling, why not? That person is free to do that. And the way we choose is we basically understand whether the particular person who we can sell cheap to get long-term revenue growth is basis on the potential of that guy. Now, potential can be that particular guy's website traffic, maybe the Alexa rank, maybe the kind of referral traffic he has been driving us in the future, the conversions of those particular referral traffics, and maybe the kind of potentially he himself or herself is showing in terms of growth of his or her business. Now, if you just look into a basic scenario, there are two basic scenarios. In one way, I can think very short term and say that, hey, why don't you use the white label plan and take our the highest possible plan and pay us maximum. So in that case, what happens? Obviously, the guys who are who could potentially would have seen us in those websites which are using our product completely goes nil. If I take a other scenario in which I say that, hey, why don't you actually use our product on a premium plan and we'll still charge you less. It's just that you have to place a powered by logo. Then what happens? On an average, if I basically see that, okay, so for simplicity, what I've done is I've just created two plans. One is free and one is the premium plan. So the scenario says that in one scenario, obviously I'm not making, I'm just making the revenue from that particular person, I'm not making any revenue from the referrals. On the other scenario, I'm saying that, hey, if you take it for free and still put up our product as a powered by, you do not pay us anything, but the referrals which he is sending us through, which is nothing but the referrals and say the conversion which is happening at that particular person, which is the third and the fourth tab, gives us some kind of a revenue which is based upon the network effect which I've displayed earlier. Now, this is...
Just a quick context here. There are the conversion percentages for our content marketing efforts roughly revolve around 40 to 45%, which is insanely high. And for referral traffic like this one, the one that Prasanjit was trying to mention, revolves around 20-25%, depending upon the source of the referral. And so far, in the entire life cycle of our customer acquisition, these are the two sources that have actually worked the best in terms of customer acquisition. What you're seeing here, well, we'll share this slide, but what you see on the right-hand side is actually a source tree for a customer, a referral customer, up till the third level. There was not enough space for us to accommodate more. But one guy, which is this guy, these are all license codes for the sake of masking, leads to those many guys, they lead to those many, and they lead to many, and so on and so forth. It's an infinite tree in most cases. And of course, churn happens, whoever mentioned that.